5, 7, 1, 2, 3.
Hi, this is Pods and Ends, the junk drawer of pop culture and geek podcasts.
Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 9 of Pods and Ends. Today, alas, we had a good run, but we are finally Phil-less, I'm afraid.
Phyllis.
Phil-less, that's right. Yeah, Phil couldn't make it to the show tonight because he is sleeping. However, I'm here, Sophie, and with me, as always, my lovely American counterparts.
It's Shelby.
And Bryan.
So, yes, you'll just have to imagine Phil sarcastically dropping comments, and I'll have to mentally imagining sort of him next to me tapping his watch and making wrap it up, Sophie motions with his hands. So yeah, you guys.
Not a Star Wars podcast.
I know. So you've got no one to like rein me in. So you're just gonna have to scream at me like, "Stop talking, Sophie!" At points.
He'll just edit you out.
Yeah,
That'll be how he fixes it.
Yes, Phil will be editing this episode. So if I only say like 3 lines, he was brutal.
Phil was here.
Yeah.
It'll come out and it'll just be an hour of him talking.
Yeah, you just record
like all
over
of this
it.
will just get re-recorded.
It's just gonna be an hour of Phil singing the shark song.
Oh my god, we would probably be the most popular podcast ever.
That's true.
Right.
And so before we get started, a reminder that if you are listening on either Hyperspace Podblast or Bright Tree Radio streams, to please go ahead over and switch to Pods and Ends. We will be discontinuing those streams very soon, so make sure you don't miss out on any content by subscribing to Pods and Ends on whatever podcatcher you're using.
Yeah, I think Hyperspace goes away in March. I think that's when our
I think that's
thing
right.
Yeah, I think we're the same.
No longer
We were
renew, so
similar timings, weren't we?
do it.
And let us know what you think. So leave a review if you are so inclined. Drop some stars.
Yeah, we got a nice review from Roku Depot, by the way.
Yes, thank you
Appreciate
so
that.
much.
Always appreciate that you continue to listen, even though we hate Star Wars now. No, I'm
Oh my
just
gosh, Ryan. We do not.
We're just channeling our energies on all sorts of other things. Which actually, on today's episode, we are making the most of Phil's absence because we're going to be talking all about anime. And since Phil has watched all of one anime in his entire life, and he didn't even realise it was an anime when he was watching it.
Yeah, if he had known, he wouldn't have watched it.
No.
Oh, it's an
Just got an
anime?
accident.
Never mind, I don't like it anymore.
Yeah,
Right. So yes, so we thought we'd make the most of it. The three of us are really, really big anime fans, so I hope you enjoy this episode. I think we're going to have a lot of fun recording it. But we've got our usual segments coming at you. I think we've pretty much got them all, bar the silver screen. So let's dive right into What's Your Jam?
far out, man. What's your jam?
So Bryan and Shelby, hit me up. What is your jam this week?
Well, because Shelby is now a wannabe rap artist. No, not really. She's just,
I mean,
we
I
listen to a lot of
want
rap now. I don't know how this happened. Probably 2 years ago, if someone would have said, "What's your least favorite music genre?" I would have said country, obviously, because it's the lowest common denominator.
Wow.
But
Oh my God.
right up from that would have been rap. But here we are, hitting a J. Cole.
Yeah, Middle Child. It is our number one jam right now, I would say.
Oh, for sure. It's I actually listened to it on my own, and I was
That's saying a lot.
amazed that I was doing it. But it's a really good
The
song.
lyrics are so good.
Yeah, it's a pretty good message, and It's got a good beat and you can dance to it.
Well, the
It's a
premise,
bop.
Oh my god, it is a bop. Bryan is making fun of me because I have. I'm trying to make bop happen.
She went through Urban Dictionary, was like, how to sound more cool when talking about rap.
I saw someone call something a bop, and I thought it was a great way to describe how I felt about a lot of these songs. So these are definitely bops.
See, it sounds better when you guys say it. So when I say it, it's like bop. And it's just, I don't know. It doesn't sound as good, does it? I'm going to listen to this bop, guys. It doesn't bop, you know? That sounds much more rap.
It's a bop.
It's a bop.
Anyway, Middle Child's really cool. Whenever you're listening to songs, I definitely recommend going on to genius.com to learning more about the lyrics behind everything and just really fun tidbits of information. So, Middle Child has a lot of really cool information about it. I mean, he's talking about being kind of the middle child or in the middle of kind of the older, I don't know, rap gods, if you will. And I don't know how to describe it. The OGs, as he puts it, and all of these really new up and coming young rappers. And so he's right in the middle and trying to figure out his place. And he kind of says thank you to the older generation, and he has kind of a desire to mentor the new ones. So there's a lot of really, really good lyrics in it. I highly recommend, if you don't catch on to all of them, to read them. Mm-hmm. Would you agree, Bryan?
Yes. Or just listen to it over and over until you figure it out.
Until you get it.
Do it the old-fashioned way. And if you get some wrong, who cares?
True. Just mumble through it. It'll be fine. Anyway.
Yeah, I think we're done now. What's your jam there, Soph? Probably nothing to do with K-pop.
I kind of hoped I was going to come to the table without K-pop, but then midweek, V, aka Kim Taehyung from BTS, dropped a solo track on us, and so that's been all up in my jam all week, basically. They like to do this. They each kind of have been dropping solo material. None of them are doing any solo tours or anything. I don't know if it's just to give them, like, some of the others a 5-minute break in their concerts, because their concerts look pretty full on. So anyway, he's released a track called Scenery. It's a very pretty song. He's got a very deep voice. It's quite unique sounding, and he sounds very, very different to the other band members. It's a little bit of it sort of starts off a bit of a lullaby feel. It's actually what you were saying, Shelby. I haven't had a chance yet to look up the lyrics, but that's quite a fun thing to do with K-pop. Obviously, the first time you hear it, you have no idea what they're singing about, apart from the odd kind of English phrases dropped here and there. So it's quite fun to then discover what actually they sing. So you kind of I can get the vibe of the song without actually knowing what it's about, which is quite fun. So for me, it kind of feels like there's a bit of a lullaby vibe to it, and then almost like you're going for a moonlit stroll around the lake with your beloved and you're falling in love. It's those kind of vibes. It's a love song, isn't it? So yeah, that's been my jam this week. I'd really hoped to not talk about BTS because I don't know if people know BTS aren't even like my number one K-pop band, but they're active at the moment. You know, Big Bang can't do anything there. They're in military service. They're literally not allowed to like even look at a phone, I don't think. So yeah, that's been my jam this week. Actually, which on a similar note, people keep thinking that BTS is going to be having a comeback announced, and I was a bit like, can you have a comeback if you've only had like a weekend off? Like, seriously.
Yeah, I was going to say, how would it come back from what?
They toured like
Is this
a
kind
week
of like
ago.
your Twitter break?
Oh,
hey everyone,
you didn't.
I'm back.
Whoa. Rude.
Just because Phil's here doesn't mean the Sophie abuse needs to like continue on this. We can have a week off, okay?
I just want to make him laugh when he listens.
When he edits. Hey, Phil. He'll be very proud of you. But it is yeah, I was like, I don't know. I feel like they need a longer break first before they have a comeback. I feel like they
Yeah, I was
actually.
gonna say, I don't think that counts.
No, I don't. I feel like we don't. Let's not overwork our K-pop artists. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Fans of BTS, if you've somehow missed it, if you've had no internet connection for 3 days, Taehyung released a track. Go check it out. It's very, very nice. Moving on from What's Your Jam, let's head into Netflix and chill.
Netflix and chill.
So, guys, what have you been binging this week?
Avatar.
We're so close to the end. We're on the last disc.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
it's really ramping up too. Like,
Bittersweet, but whoo, this show is good.
yeah, and it is bittersweet. But it's interesting too because we know that Legend of Korra lies beyond the end of Avatar, but then after that, there's nothing. Which would be a good segue into something we're going to talk about later. But anyway, yeah, Avatar it keeps getting better. I know we've spoken about it like 2 or 3 times now, so we'll stop when we're done. But we're not done yet, so yeah, Avatar, good stuff. Watch it.
Also, we've been catching up on our typically recorded shows. We watched Shark Tank the other night, which is one of my absolute favorite semi-reality TV shows.
I think it counts as reality.
Does it count? I don't know.
What
I
is
think so.
this?
Oh, so Shark Tank is where innovators and business people come onto this show, and it's called the Shark Tank because they pitch something for some sort of investment and stake in their companies or whatever they're offering, and it's a bunch of well-known investors.
Yeah, entrepreneurs.
Okay, we have the same show, but it's called Dragon's Den in this
nice.
country. It's the exact
Yes.
same premise. Yeah. Okay.
They
okay.
actually
But yeah,
launched
they are
something
good.
similar to it at where I work for some like digital innovation, and they referenced Dragon's Den. They were like it's supposed to be like Shark Tank or Dragon's Den.
Ah, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. So
But
I'm
we've
with
been
you now.
watching
Yeah, they
that.
are.
It's the 10-year anniversary season of Shark Tank, so it's very exciting because there's a lot of success stories that they do as interludes between different pitches, and it's
Oh, I
super
love
cool
that.
to see how things that you've watched in previous seasons, how they're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny too because like I don't know, most of the time we end up Googling the things that are
I know we
like,
kind
is
of
this real? Can you buy
spoil
this?
ourselves.
Yeah.
We spoil ourselves
make it?
because we figure out like what they're doing or if they made it or not.
Yeah, I think these things are recorded like several months ago. So a lot of what happens on the show has already happened.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Plus, we have been rewatching a lot on Hulu.
Yeah, that's true. Some of the
Older seasons, which is funny because those you can definitely see how they're doing now because it's been a
Yeah.
while, and maybe Shark Tank didn't feature them on their Where Are They Now?
And it's interesting too, like some of the things that don't get invested in still
Actually,
end up working
Yeah, they're
because
more
the-
successful.
Yeah.
just the experience they get from Shark Tank helps launch them.
Yes, Shark Tank is one of my favorite shows, and I'm really enjoying this season. There's, it's interesting how the pitches have completely changed now. You hear a lot of, well, we did our first thing on Kickstarter, and
Oh, nice.
people now have watched Shark Tank long enough to understand what makes a good pitch and what they're going
Yeah.
to be looking for.
They know
used
to
to
dive right into the
stumble.
numbers.
Oh, they were so cringe, aren't they?
Yes, they're like, I don't know that number. It's like, how do you not know how much profit you made?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Soph? Do you have anything?
I do. I don't know if this is one you guys have come across or not. But I've been watching season 2 because I watched season 1 when it was on, I want to say like Sci-Fi or something last year or the year before, and then I didn't realise that season 2 was a thing, and then I just saw it on Netflix. I've been watching the Shannara Chronicles on Netflix, and I don't know. Have you guys seen it? Are you aware of it?
I've heard of it. That's the extent of my knowledge.
So
I've never heard of it.
without wanting to offend anybody, because I know that it's based off the Sword of Shannara books by Terry Brooks, which basically the premise of this was it's one of the few books that I haven't finished. I don't know. I normally will soldier on to the end of a book, but it was one of the ones that I just didn't get on with it. Put it down, and then I saw it on telly and was like, "Oh, look, there's a program about that book that I didn't like. Let's watch that." So I don't know what went through my head.
Wow, what kind of motivation was that? Man, that book was terrible. Let's watch it.
Let's watch the show. And the show's kind of like, oh, it's rubbish, but it's good all at the same time. I mean, it must be good enough that I have watched the entire first season, and I'm on my way through the second season. There's parts of it that I know aren't good. You know, they hit a lot of those fantasy tropes and cliches and things.
So it's like The Meg, basically.
It's kind, yeah, like I have a really nice time doing it, and I like totally respect. I think some people absolutely love it. But it's that sort of classic, oh, everybody's beautiful. You know, even the like scullery maids are beautiful kind of thing, and they're all like skinny, and you know, it's all that kind of but at the same time there's something really, really watchable about it, and it takes itself very, very seriously, so you do kind of get caught up in it. For me, I think probably the reason that I'm very, very drawn into this series, and probably I don't know how accurate it is to the book, because I didn't finish the book. I don't know how accurate it is to it, but it's clearly set post-apocalyptic Earth, because there's loads of like overgrown, there's a bit of like Horizon in terms of like Horizon Zero Dawn and like what the world looks like. So it's obviously moved on a lot since this apocalypse, and there's now elves and dwarves and trolls and gnomes and humans. Those are like the main races, so it's quite cool, like the addition of the trolls and the gnomes. That's quite an interesting and trolls aren't what you think either. They look like do you remember the Reavers from Firefly, like with loads of like piercings and leather, and there's a lot of that going on. But yeah, so the world itself is really cool and really interesting, and it's beautifully shot. And for the most part, like the acting's pretty decent as well, but it's just, yeah, I don't know, it's sort of like trash, but it's like really good trash.
It's really premium trash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like garbage from the Ritz.
Garbage.
Yeah, but like I said, I don't even want people to think that it's like it's bad, because it's clearly not bad. I'm watching it, and I enjoy it when I watch it, but I don't know whether I'm a bit like, oh, should I be watching this? Or I don't know. It's a really hard one to explain, but yeah,
so
season
like guilty
2,
pleasure category, maybe.
Yeah, kind of. The difference between reading True Blood or reading Anne Rice, I think, is probably like
Okay.
the sort of, yeah.
But okay. I'm right there with you now, because you have like Anne Rice, and then you have the Suki Stackhouse novels, and then you have Twilight, which is just actual garbage.
It's
and
not
then
down
the
with
Suki
that.
Stackhouse stuff is like fun garbage,
Good, entertaining.
And then Anne Rice is pretty highbrow stuff.
You could study it in school, kind of thing.
For vampires.
Yeah. But yeah, I think season 2's definitely like, it's settled. You know, I feel like the actors have settled into their parts, so they're playing them better. It's found itself now. I think it's found its way. So I think I would recommend it for some fun. I would be really interested to know what you guys think, if you're on the same page as me. Or you might be like, this is the most stunning piece of work ever, and Sophie, you have no taste. But I don't know. Or you might go, no, it's
feeling it would probably be the opposite. Would
Yeah.
be like, why do you like this at all?
I'm really sucked in, and like the main character's just had like a haircut. You know, he's done that classic.
Oh wow, I'm in now.
Yep, he cut his. And this is like the other weird thing. Like they'll, like the elves will sometimes kind of wear jeans and t-shirt. So there's this weird like modern twist on, so they're not just there with like long hair and robes, and they don't speak in far off elven voices.
So it's like urban fantasy.
Yeah, which I
Okay.
think is why I'm quite drawn into it.
I usually don't like that, but we'll see.
Yeah, but then you've got sort of the humans, mostly just like they're at Coachella or something, to be honest. They just went, let's put glitter on their faces. So
Okay.
I really want to watch this now.
Oh man, yeah. This is the weirdest
sold me.
elevator pitch for a show I've ever heard, but it worked
It
somehow.
So, the Shannara Chronicles, guys, like, I think we need to get involved.
That was a really great Netflix and chill, Sophie. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
That really had no chill, but okay.
Yeah.
any chill. No chill whatsoever. So, let's try and rein this in now and head on over to the locker room.
Listen up, sports fans. It's time for the locker room.
So, as your sports correspondent, Chad Chadderson, is not here, he has left it to me, his incompetent second reporter, Stacey Chadderson, I think is my name. I'm Stacey
Stacey
Chadderson.
Stacey Stacerson.
Yeah. I'm Stacey Stacerton from... oh gosh, I don't know anywhere in...
Oh my
Oh,
god.
that tickles me.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Stacey. Please fill us in.
So, Phil's team in the Premier League, Tottenham Hotspur, I think last time we were on here, everybody was off injured. Like, their main striker had gone off injured and the other striker had gone back to play in the Asia games. So we were just like, we were strikerless basically. And one of the strikers came back. So unfortunately, South Korea did not do very well in the Asia Cup. Japan won though, I believe. If our friend in Japan, I'm sure he said Japan won. Anyway,
He
Hyunmin
may have just
Son.
told us that. He's like, they
don't
won't
know.
look. I'm going to tell them
I
Japan.
know, he's gonna be like, Japan won! Yay! So, Hyunmin Son, he has come back. He has played 2 games for Spurs, scored 2 goals. So now Spurs are back in the title race for the Premier League. They've just leapfrogged Man City today. They're in second place. It's going to get very intense now for the last sort of third of the Premier League. Because the Premier League finishes in like May, I want to say. Yeah, I think it's May. So there's not long left. It's going to get stressful in the Lawrence household, just to like forewarn you.
Do they go into playoffs or anything? Or is it just like whoever does the best at the end of the season wins?
Yeah, that one. It's points, basically.
That's so
It's
boring.
something to do with win, loss, draws, and then it goes down to goal differences of like who scored the most goals, I believe.
Right. Differentials, yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
So-
speaking of sports, if you look, I was just happening to flip through the NHL rankings, and you can switch all the way down to like the goal differential, and almost every team with the plus is in the playoffs right now, and all the teams that aren't have a negative. It's crazy how much difference that makes.
I didn't wholly understand all of that, but I kind of, yeah.
If you score more goals than your opponent, you're more likely to be in the playoffs. That's basically what it
And the
boils
playoffs
down
are
to.
good, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. At the end of the
Right.
season. There's 31 teams right now. And
See, that's where I was getting confused. I thought playoffs were
Yeah.
like when you done bad, you have to fight for like bottom 3 places. That's how I
Nah.
interpreted playoffs. Okay.
Yeah, the season has 31 teams. At the end of the season, 16 get into the playoffs.
Right.
And then they whittle it down to when it's just 2 left and they play for the cup.
I see. Oh.
Yeah, that's generally how all of our sports work. Like you play a regular season and then the top teams go into some sort of playoff. Like
Oh, that's pretty cool.
coming up tomorrow for us, which would have been 4 days ago when this actually airs, but the Super Bowl is happening.
Woo woo. Go Rams.
That's
I guess
football,
go
right?
Rams. Yeah, American
Cool.
football.
American. We're
American
going to have
football,
some
yeah.
buffalo chicken
Ain't
dip.
that soccer crap?
It's really,
Nice.
I'm more excited about all the food that we're going to eat tomorrow.
Yeah, honestly,
We're gonna
the
have
Super Bowl
wings.
for us is food and commercials.
I'm
Nice.
into it.
I'm
And now they use it to kind of announce new content for a lot of
oh
things
yeah,
that we
like
talk
that
about.
that Netflix
Oh my
movie
God.
for Cloverfield. What was it?
The Cloverfield
The
Project.
Paradox.
Paradox.
Yeah.
Oh, it was bad.
Like they just were sitting there watching the Super Bowl last year, and they were like, "Oh hey, there's this movie you can watch now if you want to." We're like, what? And then we watched it, and it was so bad.
I mean, it wasn't even like Meg style bad.
No, it's
it was
just bad.
There were
It's
so
like,
many times I was like, what
yeah.
is this supposed to be?
I'm pretty sure we looked at each other 2 or 3 times and we're like, do you want to keep watching this?
It was
And
a
we're like,
train wreck that you couldn't
yeah, I
look away
guess.
from. But, I mean, and it's kind of funny because no one knew it was going to happen. They dropped it right then, and then we watched it, and it wasn't that good. And I wasn't that disappointed because I hadn't.
Right, there was no build up. It was just like,
because if there had,
oh,
someone
hey,
was
here
like,
it
"There's
is."
going to be a Netflix movie about Cloverfield within that universe," and I'm gonna be like, "Oh, that's amazing!" And I would have really gotten excited and built it up in my head, and then it would have been terrible. But
Yeah.
now it's like, well,
yeah, exactly.
So
That's what they
Super
should
Bowl.
do with episode 9. Just release nothing and be like, go watch it.
You won't.
Uh,
So, so we're excited about the Super Bowl. And in other sporting news, we just had our Peloton bike delivered today.
I guess
So-
it was kind of sporty, huh?
Sporty. We're gonna
Yeah.
spin and stuff. So we're very excited.
We call it the pain cave when we sit on it. We haven't got a Peloton, but we've got something that turns our road bikes into a spinning bike, so to speak. You change the back wheel and it sticks on something and then you spin away. And we call it the pain cave when we're on it because you just... there's something more intense. On a static bike, it seems to be like a whole different level of intensity than if you're out riding your bike, I think, because you get to freewheel a little bit, don't you? And you got
Right,
the
yeah,
wind
you
and stuff.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Where it's
different
just,
than just-
so intense inside, but it's
Mm.
good. It is a good feeling, but I hope
Yeah.
you don't throw up.
We probably will. It's fine.
I probably won't throw up, but I tend to sweat buckets.
You do.
Like, and the bikes, when we go to spin classes at the gym, they're just on the ground, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it looks like someone came by me and gave me like the Gatorade shower, and it's all on the floor. I want to be like, should I mop this? Do you want me to get this? 'Cause it's so bad, but
Is it
you know,
proper
it is-
minging?
it is what it is.
Proper minging.
Yeah, it's nasty. I'm a sweater.
No, I am as well. I think it's a good thing. I feel like it's
I know,
getting rid
yeah,
of bad things.
it's getting our toxins out.
Oh my gosh,
like,
stop it,
oh my
stop it.
God. I
All
feel
right.
so much better. Like afterward, you have no
I
idea.
am done with locker room talk.
know.
Go Spurs, go Super Bowl. Next.
Ooh. Well, I think we're going to stick with you, Brian, and head into the game room.
You walk into the game room and immediately take 14 damage.
All right, so this is a really old game, and we've actually both had it for probably over a year now because we've played it together a couple of times, but had almost no idea what we were doing, and I don't know, still fun, but we did really poorly. But Monster Hunter World, for some reason, I came home one night this past week, and I was somewhat caught up on what I needed to do. So I thought to myself, I'm going to play Monster Hunter World. And I did. And I had a really good time. And I kind of figured out how to navigate the game a little better. And it's incredible how big that game is. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you buy a game for like $60 and you play it for 3 weeks and then you're done. This game, I feel like you could play forever and hardly scratch the surface. Unless you're one of those people that actually does play like, 6 or 8 hours every day, then it might not last forever for you. But the amount of time I spend playing video games anymore, I could probably play this game for the rest of my life. But it's really fun. And then just a quick shout out to all those other Square Enix gamers out there that got Kingdom Hearts 3 that came out this past week. 'Cause my
Yeah.
brother is playing that like crazy right now and is really stoked on it.
I wish I
actually
was
never
into
played
them.
Any of them. I know. I feel like I would like them, but
It just passed me
just
by
never-
for some
yeah,
reason.
same. I think
think-
when the first one came out, I wasn't really playing games at that point. And then it was one of those
Yeah.
things where, I don't want to get number 2 without playing number 1, and then just went to
Yeah, I kind of think I went through. I took myself really seriously for a while, and I remember thinking, because I was so into the Final Fantasy games, and I was like, oh, I don't want to play something if it's got Mickey Mouse in it. I wanted, badass people with swords.
And now your favorite IP is owned by Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, right.
You see what he did there?
Mouse.
The mouse
He
got
was
me
like,
in the
"You'll
end.
come
Creep.
to me.
He will creep
You
into your house
all
and take
come
over.
to me.
Puppet girl, your
Mickey
strings are mine.
Mouse."
Oh boy! Please give me all your money.
Oh my gosh, stop it.
Okay, anyway.
Please don't sue us. Thank you.
No, but do you know what? I have, was the impression too accurate? Get done for copyright. One thing I have been familiar with Kingdom Hearts is I do like the soundtrack. I randomly stick the soundtrack on every now and then if I want to feel sort of intense and powerful. And it is an intense and powerful soundtrack, so maybe we should check Kingdom Hearts out one day. But yeah,
Yeah, I think we
people
should.
come out. And
I like the idea of key swords too. That's pretty cool. But
Yes. Yeah, it just looks. Yeah, we must get more involved in Kingdom Hearts, guys.
yeah, we need like 30 or 40 hours a day.
Yes,
I
please.
think we
know.
could do a lot more if that was
Yeah.
the case.
Yeah, if I just didn't work, I could get
I
a lot
know.
more gaming
Pesky
done.
Jobs.
I know.
When we're really old, we're going to be talking about all these video games we're playing.
Thank God they remastered Kingdom Hearts so we can finally start playing it.
That's what I'm gonna sound like when I'm old. Just FYI. Even if I don't, I'm just gonna use that voice so I can be like,
See, I told ya.
Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe old people just put on the voices.
they go to the AARP meetings and they're like talking normally, and then like, oh, okay, everyone, don't forget to put on your old person voice when you leave.
Oh my gosh, this
Yeah.
took a weird turn.
Yeah, that really did. That got strange. Phil, this is what happens when you're not here.
I know.
So, I think we should move on.
Yeah,
That was my Phil impression. I don't know if
that was
very
really
good.
good. Let's head on to Off the Shelf. Turn off the television. In fact, why don't you turn off all the lights except for the one over your favourite chair? It's time for Off the Shelf. So, shall we have the True Beauty chat now?
that's what we need to do.
on.
We should just have a True Beauty segment,
It's
honestly.
the True Beauty segment.
Or we should just quit kidding ourselves and only talk about True Beauty.
Yeah, that's true.
I think this is true.
Beauty.
This is true.
The rest
So-
is just filler for everyone else. You know, they're listening for the True Beauty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why you got to put it near the end.
Yeah.
Keep them listening. Keep them hooked. This week
Oh
was
my.
a good one.
Yes.
I'm so excited for the makeover that's looming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because she's gonna look like her twin. Do you think it
Yes,
has
she
anything to
is.
do with her being all like her mom being all grumpy towards her? Maybe they actually are related.
And Jugyoung is adopted.
You guys are really like hanging on to that idea.
I know. It's the hill we're dying on.
Or maybe it's not. She's not actually like. Maybe they were twins, and it's. I don't know. I'm thinking that her mother, sister, or something had twins, and or something like that.
Maybe it's a plot device.
I don't care.
I just have to say that. to ruin
I don't know
everything.
if there's like this parallel going on because obviously Jugyoung thinks this girl is really, really cool. And she's already said like they look alike, and Jugyoung goes to all this effort to not look like her, and I don't know. I mean, again, I could probably be reading way too much into this, but it's my job. That perhaps this girl's going to kind of be an inspiration for Jugyoung to maybe like doesn't necessarily have to, you know, she can be liked and she can be capable and successful without having this kind of fake persona type thing. But then I don't know, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because at the same time, you know, the reason why Jugyoung has got this amazing opportunity with like the makeup artistry is because she's good at her own makeup. So I don't know what's good, what's bad at the moment. But oh no, I know that Suho is good.
Oh, he's
That
such
is
a.
something I know.
He's so pure and cute.
Oh, he's so into her, but he's too grumpy to admit it, which is the best kind of
Yes.
relationship.
Plus, he has some killer cheekbones. I'm all about it.
Right.
All about
Right.
it. I liked how deep this episode got with her looking at the self-esteem poster and thinking
Yeah.
internally about, am I fake for wearing makeup? You know, it
Yeah.
gives me a normal life, is how she described it. So I'm very excited to see where she goes through this whole journey.
Yeah.
And I hope it's with Suho.
yeah.
Thanks. Bye.
Right.
That was truly beautiful.
Oh, there we go. So I have one more off the shelf that I've been reading this week. I'm about 2/3 of the way through, and I've not even been reading it a week yet, which just tells you how much I've been sucked into this. I have finally got on the Grisha verse bandwagon, and I'm reading Six of Crows by... I'm going to not do a very good job of this. Lee, it's either Bardugo. I'm not really sure who it's by, but if you just Google Six of Crows, you will see it. And the kind of premise on the back is Ocean's 11 heist in a Game of Thrones kind of world, which actually doesn't quite do this book justice as to just how good it is. I mean, I was halfway through and I'm already obsessed with this world. It's set in like old world Amsterdam, kind of this massive Dutch merchant trading vibe things going on, and then there's clearly sort of Scandinavia in this, like, sort of as a inspired bit of the sort of world as well. So it's a really, really cool setting, and it's a bit different from that just sort of medieval Britain kind of fantasy. Like, it's nice to have a different setting and a different feel to it. There's a little bit of Lies of Loch Lamora vibe going on here, but it's just really, really good. The Six of Crows, they are obviously 6 characters that form this team that are gonna take on this heist, and they're all, and it's written like Game of Thrones, so each chapter's got a character's name, and it's coming from that character's point of view. And it's a testament to how cool all of these characters are, that there's no Bran chapters in this where you're just like, oh, Bran chapter, I'm power through this. Hopefully Arya's up soon. Like, you know, and she's sort of drip feeding us information about the characters and, you know, their pasts and stuff as well, which is really, really fascinating. But I can just tell that I'm already caring way too much about all of them. I feel like this is going to be something that's going to break my heart. But this is a duology, and then I know there's a trilogy as well that's set before this. And the magic is really cool as well, because magic's slightly different in that people are split into 3 different types, and you've got like the corporeal-y ones who like mess with your body. So like heart renders can hurt your organs, so she can slow your heartbeat down so that you fall unconscious, or she can stop it if she wants, or she can constrict your windpipe, or she can, you know, so they can do all sorts of stuff like that and break bones.
OD.
And then but they have to have eye contact, and they have to be able to move their hands, so you can tie someone's hands behind their back and you will stop a heart render. People are learning ways to stop them, and generally people with magic will end up as either slaves or servants, which is a slightly different twist. You'd think normally it's the magic users that are the powerful ones, but in this book it's the merchants that are powerful, and thieves and crime lords and stuff. And yeah, most of the time magic users, it sucks for them, and they either have to get into some sort of indentured contract with someone, because you have like squalors as well who control the winds on ships and stuff like that, so they're just literally bound to a ship and they have to, so it's interesting, and it'd be interesting how the magic users ended up in the state that they are in, where they're not top dog, because you'd think with magical powers you would be, but there are a lot
Sounds
of
kind of like
limitations
X-Men, where the mutants are kind of downtrodden when you would think they would be the ones in charge. So I think there's a lot more to it. There's a lot of thought that's gone into this magic, but I'm quite into the fact that there are a lot of restrictions on it as well. So it isn't just someone completely OP all the time, which is quite cool. So I highly, highly recommend these books. I don't think I sold that as well as I sold Shannara, to be honest with you, somehow. You destroyed Shannara, but now I want to watch it. And this you talked up, and I'm like, maybe.
Maybe magic, yeah, maybe.
Maybe we'll see.
But it's cool. Yeah, I think it's a very immersive world. It's very different, which I'm hyped for. So yeah, that's me off the shelf. So I think that sort of is a wrap on our segments. So let's head on into the main event, the anime episode.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is your main event.
It's the anime event.
Oh, I see what you did there.
No. Gosh.
So, after
You're welcome.
that
All right.
wonderful
You'll also
introduction,
be
yeah.
without me on this one?
Just good. Shelby has left the chat.
You hear this slow hum in the background as she gets on the Peloton.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So, diving right in then, Shelby, don't leave us. What anime got you into anime?
Well, you know the answer to this already. But
Shiny makeup.
that was not the song at the time.
Whatever.
It was Sailor Moon whenever I was probably,
4.
5-ish?
I was
Maybe
kidding. I
8.
didn't know it was that young. That's crazy.
Yeah. I remember watching it. It would be Sailor Moon, and then right after it would be Dragon Ball Z.
Nice.
And primarily I would watch Sailor Moon, but a lot of times that bled over into watching Dragon Ball Z, which watching Dragon Ball Z again after I don't know how many years I watched it again in college was a lot. I feel like Sailor Moon kind of withstood the test of time a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's funny because to just slide right into your DMs here.
Whoa.
I got into anime late. I watched Dragon Ball Z like a couple episodes when I was younger, and I was like, okay, anime is dumb. So I didn't watch it
Wow.
anymore. Sorry, Dragon Ball Z fans, but it just doesn't do it for me.
I still like Dragon Ball Z. It's kind of a guilty pleasure.
I can't, I don't know, man. You watch it for 22 minutes or whatever, and literally nothing happens.
They're getting ready to hurt somebody. Takes a long time.
I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I can just...
Do you know how long it takes to make a spirit bomb? It's a long time. Probably about 3 episodes.
I know. I'm uninitiated. But like I said, I watched a couple of episodes, and I thought to myself, anime is dumb. I'm not going to watch this anymore. Cross that off my nerd list.
So what was it? What actually got you in?
Someone showed me Akira when I was in college, and I was like, oh, so anime is actually really cool. My bad. And then I got into like Cowboy Bebop and Trigun, which are two of my favorites still. Trigun, I would say, is probably my all-time favorite, but
Wait, that's another question.
I know. We'll get to it later,
on.
and I'll tell you why. But
Silence.
yeah, got into those two, and then it spiraled out of control from there. Now I've huge long list of awesome anime. What about you, Soph? Was yours also The Magical Girl?
No, it wasn't. So she came along a bit later for me when I was actually 16-ish, because Sailor Moon's really hard to get hold of in this country. And it wasn't, I don't remember it being on telly. I had to kind of actively go find it online. So I don't know, does Pokemon count as anime? First question.
Yes, it does.
Yes. So in that case, it was probably Pokemon, because they used to play Pokemon and then Digimon right after each other. So that was kind
It's kind of like playing Transformers and GoBots right next to each other.
I liked it. I was obviously much more into Pokemon because I was into the games and stuff like that. But then the one that I would say was I can remember it being quite a defining was Cardcaptor Sakura, which was just called Cardcaptors in this country, and we had a very different version to the proper anime, as it turns out, which I later found out. But I can remember I used to race home with my brother, and we would sit and watch it because he really liked UA. UA is super cool, and yeah, I remember watching it and not knowing that it was anime. I just thought it was like a really nice looking cartoon that was more of a grown-up cartoon, because I was probably about, I want to say I was about 13 at this time maybe, so I'd like grown out of like the kids cartoons, but there was obviously still stuff on telly that I'd watch. And so yeah, it was Cardcaptor Sakura for me, because Sakura is just amazing. She's such a cool, it's such a like, it's really wholesome. You know, her friend Madison makes her a different battle costume for every time she fights a card. So, and I can remember this was where I started like pulling the thread and being like I went online and I started looking up stuff on card captors, and I then realized it was Cardcaptor Sakura. I started learning like their names in Japanese, and that's when I realized, I was like, oh, so this is anime. And I think that was sort of the time that I actually put the two and two together of like, oh, so that's why this is different to the cartoons that we have in this country. So yeah, that was the one for me that was like my entry point. And then that was actually how I learned the difference between like anime and manga as well, because again, so it's just, yeah, she opened up a whole world for me, which was really cool.
That's one of the best parts of the internet, like the availability of that kind of information, because you know, when I was a kid, if you liked anime and you went to the video store and your particular video store didn't carry anime, you didn't get to watch it.
Yeah,
like, and
true.
or you know, you couldn't find it. Like now kids can just stumble onto stuff. You can't even, and I mean, granted, they're stumbling onto some stuff they probably shouldn't, but you know, double-edged sword.
Yeah.
But it's cool that the internet does do more than give idiots a platform.
Yeah. I mean, I think this was back in the time when it was dial-up, so I'd only be allowed on it for a certain amount of time, then you get like shouted up the stairs like, Sophie, I need the phone.
Yeah. Or you'd be on downloading
Like
something and then someone would pick up the phone and like ruin your connection, and then you have to restart your download.
No one appreciated my dial-up noises.
Yeah, we did. We were
I
just
really
using
did.
it as
Okay.
background noise.
Internalized it, yeah. So, as you've already started, Brian, why don't you sort of let us know some of your favorites then?
Oh man, I can give you a long list, but like I said, Trigun is probably my all-time favorite. Like if someone said you can only watch one anime for the rest of your life, it would probably be smarter to pick one of the really long ones like Bleach or One Piece or something, but I would pick Trigun and I would just watch it on loop because I just love the story. It's too good.
Nice.
And as I've mentioned in another episode, I think, or maybe several, I'm a sucker for that kind of lackadaisical, sort of aloof character that you don't expect to be the hero or to be able to do anything, but then, you know, push comes to shove and they turn on their heroicness and save the day. That's very
kind of
much
like Luke Skywalker.
I mean, no, he grows up and grows into the person that saves the day. He doesn't walk around being goofy. I mean, I guess he kind of does on the island when he throws the lightsaber, but you know, that's debatable whether that's the way Luke Skywalker would act anyway.
Okay. I'm sorry I brought this into this discussion. I will exit stage left. Thank you.
But I mean, like Vash and Luffy from One Piece is a good one where, and honestly, Aang even, I think this is why I brought it up before, from Avatar, which is as close to anime as you can get for something that's not made in Japan. But that kind of character that you think, how can this person be the leader of this, you know, adventuring group that's going to go out and do things or something, and they do. They make the right decisions. They're able to do it when the time comes, and that's a good thing that I like. And you know, I also like your sort of mainstream popular anime like Attack on Titan, Sword Art Online, I think, which I actually like even more. Especially the most recent movie that we saw in theaters. Was that last year?
It was the year before.
Year
but
before,
it was so
yeah.
good.
It was. I just wanted to go see it because it was like, hey, I get to watch anime in a theater. That's cool. I didn't know what to expect, but it was really good. Furthered the story, made me happy.
I think that my favorite anime is usually the one I'm watching at the time. But if I had to say, what really stands out to me, I would say Kill la Kill is one of my favorites, because it kind of is a play on the magical girl anime, and it kind of turns it on its head. It's
true.
very different, and I don't know, I thought it had a great story arc. And again, it doesn't go on and beat itself to death forever.
Yeah, that's one of the things we actually really like about anime, where most of the time it's a end-to-end story. Like, it has a point it's going to get to, and then it's going to be over. Unlike, there are some like Dragon Ball or Naruto. I think One Piece at this point is going on forever. Bleach went on forever. May still be going, I don't know. But most of them don't do that. Like, that's kind of the minority of all anime in general, where 1 or 2 seasons. Sometimes it's just the one season.
It's really good.
You get 12 episodes and story's over. Go find another one.
I think I'm really into the slice of life animes, and a lot of times it's like the really cutesy romantic comedy anime. I can't help it. I'm such a girl. But it's so cute, and you're like, oh, will they, won't they? And then they kiss, and it's like, ah! And
will they, won't they?
I like the goofy ones, like
but they're also goofy, you know.
Himoto and Orimo.
Orimo is so good.
Yeah.
And what's the one with the like the hamster?
Yeah, it's Himoto.
Oh yeah. That one is really good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. There's just so many. Fruits Basket is so good.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, shall I join in there? Because that is my
Slide
favorite.
in
That's your
there with the
cue.
Fruits Basket.
That really surprised me, because it's not normally my jam to have the main character not actually have some kind of special power or something like that. But I felt so hard for Fruits Basket. Kyo is so angry all the time. It's amazing. But then he's so soft when it comes to like Toru, and and Shigure as well. It just, everything about that. It's quite intense. Like, the manga is quite like dark and upsetting in places where I feel like the anime was a bit more a bit lighter, but they're all animals. It's so cool.
Well, the fact that it's based on the Zodiac.
Yeah, it's such a cool premise.
It is.
Yes.
I feel like,
and then to have the cat as like a rogue one, and it just made sense, didn't it? That like the cat was betrayed by the rat, and that's why the cats chase the rat, and that's why Kyo doesn't like Yuki, and just
it all makes sense. Honestly, anime does a really good job of taking very interesting premises and making just wonderful stories out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think part of that is like what we were saying before. They don't try to drag it out. They have this sort of small specific premise, and they make the story out of it. And when the story's over, they let it go and they move on to something else instead of, I don't know, American TV, like The Walking Dead. I'm going to use that as my example. That should have ended like 3 seasons ago, because it's basically just every season is the same loop. Group encounters bad group. They beat bad group. Now they're safe. Oh no, new bad group. What are we going to do? Like, I don't even feel like there's...
jump the shark. The zombie shark.
Yeah. That was Pirates of the Caribbean that did that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was bad
They
too.
literally jumped the zombie shark. But anyway, I don't know. We try so hard to stretch things out until there's no story left anymore. You're just you're grinding your gears because people are still buying it, which is, I don't know, I'm glad that Game of Thrones didn't do that, because they easily could have kept going on that.
Yes.
That's a juggernaut. People would have kept watching. They would have kept making money, but they were like, no, this has got to come to a head. Like, this whole season or this whole series has been building to something, and we're gonna let that play out and then be done. And that's what anime does, and I think it's a great storytelling device.
Yes.
I feel like the best example of that was Samurai Champloo, which my brother got me into, and
My brother really likes that.
it
one
was
too.
only one season, and you're sort of left there going like, well, was that it? And they leave so much over to you and your interpretation and what you think happens, but it's not done in a frustrating way where you're like, no, just tell me. I didn't walk away feeling like that at all. I was just like, oh, well, this is what I think happened, and I was okay with that. And it literally, like you say, it told the story it wanted to tell, and then it was just so perfect, and it was just this one little season of perfection. Actually, Champloo ruined anime for me for a little bit. I struggled to pick up anime because I was just like, well, it's peak.
Yeah,
I've
right,
watched
yeah.
Earth One. It doesn't get better than this. And I actually took a bit of time off from it, and I couldn't find anything that was like, I flitted between a couple, and I tried, and I thought, I'll try and get back into Bleach again, because I feel like we've all had a Bleach phase.
The first season of Bleach is the best. Like,
never
and
seen
then it
Yeah.
goes downhill like a cliff from there. I feel like that would have been a perfect one to like just tweak it a little bit and have it be one season, and then you're like, bam, that's amazing. But then it just overdid it a lot.
Yeah.
One of my favorite, very short animes. Brian's gonna laugh as soon as I say this.
School Days.
School Days.
Boom! School Days is so good. It's like normal slice of life, school kids hooking up, like, not like hooking up, but becoming friends,
Anime
and
hooking
then
up,
more than
yeah.
friends. And then all of a sudden it takes the weirdest, darkest turn,
It
and
is.
you're this.
We
You're
saw
sat
the
there.
end and we were like, what?
Yeah, and you're
Did we just watch?
you're freaked out, and it's crazy.
And then it just ends.
And then it
And
just
that's it.
ends, and you're like, what the bleep?
I think that was one of the most enjoyable endings to what I thought was a slice of life anime.
Yeah.
I mean, it made such an impact on me.
Oh, we
obviously.
think and talk about it and reference it all the time. Like, all the time.
We'll even say, like, well, that took a School Days turn.
Yeah, right, exactly. We even went to an anime convention one time and they were showing School Days. We were like, hee hee, I wonder how many people haven't seen it. And they're going to sit in this auditorium and watch it. And they're just going to, like, melt into a puddle at the end. Oh, good stuff. So if you haven't seen School Days,
Definitely watch
go
that.
watch it. It's worth it.
It's based on a video game.
Yeah, it's actually, which is strange because most anime is based on a manga, right? Well, this was based on one of those. They're kind of like choose your own adventure. I forget what they call them, interactive graphic novels or something like that, where you don't actually do anything. They just give you choices and you pick, and then the story takes place. So the original School Days video game had like 6 or 7 endings. And then they made the anime version, which was completely different, had its own ending. So it's intense.
So actually, Shelby, you saying, like, I was going to ask us all, like, what kind of anime genre, I suppose, that you like. I mean, would you say slice of life is your? Why did I sound really Australian? Slice of life.
I like it. That's cool. Yeah, I would say slice of life is probably my favorite, usually with maybe a sprinkle of something magical or mystical, kind of urban fairy tale sort of thing. But I also, every now and again, will really enjoy a reverse harem.
I think for
Like a little host club.
Yeah.
a what?
Or in high school, a host club? You've never seen Host Club?
I don't know
So
if I know this.
just leave right now and go watch Host Club.
Podcast over. You need to go watch it right now.
Ooh, okay. We're gonna have to make notes, aren't we, of this?
Yeah, we are. Definitely a squee-worthy
Yeah.
watch.
I can't. Yeah, I can't believe you haven't seen it.
Squee-worthy. That's how you should describe it.
I like a good squee-worthy. I think.
Brian,
What?
Yeah.
what kind of anime do you like? You are more of like
I
Go
like.
ahead.
I like fighting.
yeah, you like fighting
I
and
like
big
violence.
robots.
I fight you
I
fight.
do like the giant robot, like the Gundam,
Okay,
the
interesting.
like Evangelion,
Lagann.
the Gurren Lagann. Yeah, I like a big robot. I do enjoy that. Yeah, going to see the Unicorn Gundam in
Amazing.
Tokyo was really bomb.
It did
I
look
kept talking
amazing.
it up, and Shelby was like, "Yeah, sure, it moves. I bet." And then we got there, and she was like, "Oh my god!"
I know. I was like, engineering feat. Amazing.
Why'd you make the cool thing dorky?
Because it is. Most cool things are dorky.
It's true.
When
No.
you get down to
But
the
yeah,
base
I
of
mean, it was very cool. But yeah, that's why I like Pacific Rim so much.
Big
Even
robots.
though it kind of got ragged on. I think they're both good movies.
they're good
but
movies.
whatever.
I like them.
Yeah, I do like that genre. I don't know. I like anything with fighting. Like I said, Attack on Titan, Sword Art Online, High School of the Dead, One Piece has fighting. Zombie Loan, which is a pretty kind of unknown one, but it's a really cool premise. Basically, these kids get killed in a bus crash, and they don't want to be dead, so they make a deal where they come back as zombies, and they have to pay off their debt of being like resurrected, or by like finding other zombies or other demons that are in the world illegally and getting rid of them. And if they don't pay off their debt, they have to die.
You also like Tokyo Ghoul a lot.
I do like Tokyo Ghoul a lot, yeah, which again has some fighting aspects to it. So I don't know. It's got to have violence. It doesn't necessarily have to be dark. I was thinking maybe I like dark stuff, but I guess One Piece isn't really very dark. And Cowboy Bebop and Cowboy Bebop is dark for a different reason. But yeah, School Days,
No.
very dark.
Yeah, I think
Anyway.
my instinct would have been to say dark and like I like demons and stuff.
Sophie's super goth all of a
I
sudden.
know. Got my life into pieces.
Oh, that's a good one.
We got it in. That's for Phil. Just for you, Phil. So, yeah, I mean, after my sort of Samurai Champloo kind of period of mourning, I then picked up Black Butler. And
Good one.
that was pretty life-changing for me. It was, it was a really intense series. That's the only thing I find with dark anime. You do have to be in that right kind of mood and headspace for it, because when anime goes dark, I think it goes really, really dark.
It can cross some boundaries that American stuff don't usually cross.
Yeah.
At least animation.
And I mean, there's some Black Butler's really confusing because there's some really light-hearted kind of like, sir, this morning you'll be having your Earl Grey with the lemon tea, and like, you know,
Well, that's kind of, I mean, anime in general, it has that ability, and you know, they have that style where something serious is happening and then something not serious will happen and the animation style changes for a second.
yeah,
So it like kind of punctuates the idea that this is goofy,
yes,
you know, even like in the midst of like a Kame ga Kill, which is a pretty violent one. I really like it too, but it'll have these weird moments of like, I don't know, goofy romance amongst like oppressive violence from tyrannical overlord type situation. It's just like, I don't know, it's very cool.
yeah. I think so. Sometimes when I'm in the mood for that, that's definitely my kind of go-to genre. That sort of Black Butler, Death Note, Attack on Titan.
Ooh, yeah,
but
Death
then
Note's really
at the
good.
same time, sometimes because generally I'm watching anime on my own as well, because it's not something Phil's into at all. So it's usually what I watch when he's out. And sometimes I can get a bit like intense when I'm watching stuff on my own. I don't just sort of sit back and chill and just like relax and watch it. So sometimes, you know, Attack on Titan, the first time I saw like the people in the giants' bellies, that really troubled me for a few days afterwards. And I was like, I'm not okay with this.
Yeah,
and
that's
then,
pretty intense.
yeah, and then I quite like to come up for air and go for that kind of magical girl. I think that's where I was like halfway through season 1 of Attack on Titan, and then I was like, oh, She-Ra, I'm gonna go watch that for a bit. And it's like sometimes I just head towards that. I need a magical girl, so then I'll go for like, yeah, Sailor Moon or something a bit lighter and fun.
Retsuko?
I don't know where
Yeah,
Retsuko. Where does
Retsuko.
Retsuko fall into all of this?
That's slice of life, except that it's animals instead of people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically an Animal Farm slice of life.
Yeah.
That's a great way to describe it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a little bit of depends on my particular mood. I'm a bit of a mood watcher when it comes to anime. So yeah, I mean, it is, which kind of I guess fits into like from like we said the stuff we were watching when we were younger. How do you think your tastes have changed since you started watching Shelby? Or are you the same?
Probably not much.
I was gonna say, yeah, do you like the same stuff?
Pretty the same.
Yeah.
Although I do, since I'm watching a lot of more fighting style anime things, I'm more into that than I used to be because Bryan likes to watch that. So I've just expanded what I
Yeah.
like to watch.
I
My
would
favorites
say
are still the same.
Yeah.
almost the exact same thing, only opposite. I probably wouldn't have picked up any slice of life stuff if it wasn't for Shelby. And I actually do like a couple of them very much, so that's very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Complimenting
The thing I
each
can't
other.
get into is the sports anime. That's just
Yeah.
that's a strange one for me. I just can't
Okay.
do that.
I feel like we just need to have a little chat then because I try and make my tastes change because I can get a little bit narrow and just like swords and magic and demons and stuff like that. So I can't not say it like that at the moment. I don't know why. I think it's a 1 a.m. Sophie treat for you all. Somewhat wired. But I like to sort of make myself watch something that I wouldn't necessarily normally watch, which actually for me is probably Slice of Life or something like that. I think that's where I went to Retsuko and stuff like that. And the one that I did have the obsession with, which I think would fall into the category of sports, Yuri on Ice.
Yeah.
Now,
I think that's probably...
and that is not something I did. Again, it was a bit of a Shannara Chronicles. I looked at it and was like, I have no interest in watching that. Play. And I don't know.
I want to find the thing that seems the least appealing and press play.
Play.
Look at all these things I want to watch. What's this? That looks dumb. Play it.
And it's really good. And it's like boys and, on ice. I'm just really, I was really into it. I can remember, I think it was early last year maybe, even like the theme music to that, if you ever need a bit of like, we were born
Isn't
to
that a
make
thing, though?
history.
Like,
oh, it's just so powerful.
Anime theme songs are all great.
Yeah,
Gosh,
it's like a
yeah.
it's like a rule.
Yeah, I have a playlist pre-made that's like, I don't know, 30 or 40 anime theme songs. Some of them are anime I haven't even watched. I just like their theme song. So
yes,
yeah,
agreed.
it's
There's
good
only
stuff.
a few. I've not really come across many that aren't. Probably Digimon, digital monsters, Digimon are champions. It's a bit like, come on, think outside the box a bit here now.
I like the Yokai Watch one.
Oh, that's a bop.
Oh my gosh, the callbacks are
Yes!
strong with this one.
It echoes, guys. It rhymes.
I think we're done here. No, I'm just kidding.
You can't top that.
No, we can't.
I mean, where do you go
I
from
think
there?
I think we're done, guys. Honestly, I think,
Yeah, I think we actually
yeah, I think that
go
was,
watch anime, everyone.
Go watch anime. Yeah, definitely. In fact, let's just wrap this up by just saying, is there anything that you've yet to watch that you've got your eye on? What do you think is like what's an anime that's intriguing you that you'd like to watch next soon?
My Hero Academia, because a lot of my students love it.
Mm-hmm.
And I unfortunately have a lot in common with 12-year-olds. So
Yeah, well, yeah.
I would probably like it. I think it is one of those that kind of goes on. I'm not sure if it's one of those ending ones or not, but I have a lot of students that talk about it and enjoy it. So I kind of would like to at least dip my toe into that one.
Cool.
Great.
Shelby?
I really want to check out they're remaking Fruits Basket. So that's what I want to see. So I'm not expanding anything that I'm watching. I just want to watch a remake of something I've already watched and loved.
Nice.
What about you, Sophie?
I
She wants to
have.
watch
watch
Host
something-
Club.
Well,
Oh, yes, she does.
I think you guys are going to send me a list at the end of this, at the end of this episode. But I plan to watch Tokyo Ghoul because I've never watched it before, and
Oh, it's quite good.
yeah,
It's got lots of demons.
demons. I know, that's what I'm thinking. And I haven't watched anything with demons and just man-eating giants at the moment, so maybe it'll be a palate cleanser. Who knows? But no, it's
Yeah,
one of
it's good.
those. It's a juggernaut of the anime scene, and it's been missing from my life. So for me, it's definitely going to be Tokyo Ghoul, and I'm probably trying to finish Death Note as well because I haven't finished it yet. And I think there's another season on Netflix now. So yeah, those are my two. So it'll be quite dark and demonic for the next few weeks for me. So I think that's a wrap on this episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you've reached this far,
Congratulations, you get a certificate.
yeah.
Yeah, check your email. Make sure you check your spam folders.
Yeah.
Your certificate of completion will be there.
You are now Pods and Ends certified.
Yes. And obviously, come let us know what anime you guys are into. What's some of your favourite ones? What's been your entry into anime? We love talking with you guys as always. So, Bryan and or Shelby,
please, watch School Days and send us your reactions.
Yes.
I need to see that.
Yes.
Yes.
Film yourself watching the entire series.
Or at least the last.
No, the entire thing, because then it'll be fun.
Yeah.
And then just watch it on like super fast forward.
Yep.
Nice.
Be hilarious. But yeah, so if you want to contact us, as we so gratefully would appreciate, do so on the interwebs via social media handles at PNE_pod or email us at contact@podsandends.com.
You can also check out our website, podsandends.com.
And that'll do it for us, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.